Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, good morning. Ah, good morning to you. Hope you're well. All is going good in your days. Good morning, everyone. It's got that warm snow coming down. I know you can't say warm snow, but um, were I in Maine, I would call it maple snow. That's a particular kind of snow. You can just tell it by the look because the temperature is actually above freezing, but the snow is coming down. But it's still snowing, and there's a particular look that it has that will tell you that the maple syrup, the maple sap is getting ready to run. So it has that look this morning. Good morning, Vicky, from the dead. And there are people who don't believe in the resurrection. So glad you are back with us. Good morning, Karen. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hope everybody's doing great this morning. Welcome, welcome. What a good day. Good day to you all. Good morning. All right, we'll get one or two more folks coming in. I'm doing okay. I'm holding together. I've been fighting a couple ailments myself, so I haven't been 100%, but I'm, still in the fight. So hope you're. Good morning, Donna. I hope I hope Phyllis is doing okay and things are all right in your world. Hope she's holding together. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right, let's get going this morning. It is the 31st day. It is the last day of January. We are 12th through the year already. We are welcome on this 11/11 that we might find ourselves on this Tuesday gathered together, ready to go into another month, ready to take on all that the world has for us, ready to uh, to tackle both angels and demons, whatever may come our way. So welcome everyone to this day. I I wanted to. We're doing a. I'm preaching through a series on Sunday worship right now through on the Lord's Prayer. So we're taking the Lord's Prayer line by line and kind of digging it deep. And so I hope and so there's all kinds of different pieces and parts that come with that that either end up on Sunday or don't. But this was one that really it really struck me, and I didn't have a place to share it on Sunday, but I really wanted to share it with all of you because it struck me powerfully for where I think we are and what we're contending with these days. And so the scripture comes from Romans, Paul's letter to the church in Rome, trying to give them courage in the midst of a lot of very hard stuff, a lot of brokenness, a lot of pain, a lot of persecution, and he's trying to give them courage. And he says this is Romans 12:12. Rejoice in hope, be patient in trouble, and be constant in prayer. I think this is a wonderful little cocktail. Like if you're going to get a tattoo, this would not be a bad one to get because it I think it speaks to the condition of what it is to contend with hard things. And friends, if you're alive, you're going to contend with hard things. It's the nature of what it is to be in this world. We are born for struggle. We're made to carry it. And so Paul is working to encourage this church, and he writes those words: Rejoice in hope, be patient in trouble, and be constant in prayer. Joy and patience and endurance. This is what he invites us to, all at the same time. He's not saying have one, then have the other. Then he's saying that our movement to the world should be joy-filled, should be patient, and that we should be constantly in contact, constantly talking with the one who made us. I think it's a beautiful image, and I'm not saying we can all pull it off all the time, but it has a guiding statement, has an aspirational statement. I think it's beautiful. And it links into what I think is just probably one of the most clever little books ever written. And it's written by C.S. Lewis because, well, he's one of the most clever little guys that it's ever lived. And Lewis writes a book called The Screwtape Letters. And there are these series of letters from this demon, the senior demon, by the name of Screwtape, who, thus they're the letters to his junior apprentice, often considered his nephew, Wormwood. And so there are these letters on how to go about kind of working against someone, working against, how the enemy would construct themselves to go after us, or to go after us in spiritual warfare and difficulty. And I think they're just not only is it a brilliant little conception, but I think they illuminate some of the ways that we're called to kind of fight out our days, because it's kind of, the brilliance of Lewis is that he kind of lays out the playbook that is going to be often played against us. And so Screwtape writes this letter to Wormwood, his nephew, like as there are such things in hell, but whatever. So the senior demon to this junior demon, kind of giving him some counsel on how to kind of tempt people and how to destroy them. And there's this little section that picks up what I think Paul is trying to armor us against. So I give you the front end of what I think Paul is calling us to on the front end of how we might be in a world that we have to endure things through, but also kind of what's happening, what the maybe what the bad guys are trying to do in the back end. What those nattering nabobs of negativism that you've got on board, because we all got them on board. Sorry, I didn't. I know. I won't say a thing about you unless I know a thing about you. But I know that the reality of all human beings is that there are voices that are a part of our journey. There are voices that will always be there to discourage us in some way or another. It is part of the struggle of what it is to be human. None of us escape that. I think part of the big lie sometimes that we tell ourselves is that other people don't have this. I've got this depression, or I've got this fear, or I've got this anxiety, and others don't contend with this. And they may not contend with it the way that you do, and they may not carry it the way that you have to. We're all different that way. But the notion that we have an enemy that would contend with us, yeah, we all got that. So Screwtape writes this to his kind of little apprentice demon. He says, "You're patient." So they're considering the person that they're trying to tempt the patient, and considering God as the enemy. So if you hear this in the right manner, your patient will, of course, have picked up the notion that he must submit with patience to the enemy's will. So that saying that he must submit to patience to God's will. That we'll all have picked that up. That's actually in the Lord's Prayer. What the enemy means by this is primarily that he should accept with patience the tribulation which has actually been dealt out to him. The present anxiety and suspense. It is about this that he has to say, "Thy will be done." And for the daily task of bearing this, that the daily bread will be provided. It is your business to see that the patient never thinks of the present fear as his appointed cross, but only about the things that he is afraid of, both the things in the future and the things in the past. Oh, it's so good. Isn't it so good? Robin Long is here, and it's so perfect because I was just going to quote her, because one of Robin's favorite sayings is that when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. That we often which is another way to kind of come at what Lewis is trying to show us in this little demonic dialogue, is that our job is to stay on task with the things that are right in front of us, with the things that are ours to contend with the things that we can get some purchase on, and that we can make a difference in. Those things, and those things only, those are the things we are to commit to thy will be done. And the devil's job is to keep us worrying about the zebras, not the horses. The devil's job is to keep us worrying about the things that we can't get any purchase on, that the things of what's going on in another county, in another world, in another continent, what has gone on in our past that we can never change, what might happen in our future that we can never contend with. This little brilliant book, which I commend to all of you, the Screwtape Letters. It's such an illumination of what goes on in our hearts and in our minds on a spiritual level. That's invitation to say, thy will be done, about the things that we can contend with, the things in our lives right now. And that's what Paul is giving to the church in Rome to combat it. Is he's saying, and the church in Rome has got some problems. They've got people coming after them. They're wanted by the cops. They are in trouble. He writes these words, remember, rejoice in hope, be patient in trouble, and be constant in prayer. This invitation to say thy will be done, to rejoice in the hope that is before us, to be patient when we're struggling, and to constantly be in dialogue with the one who made us as in that process. And none of that can happen. None of that can happen. All of it is focused on bringing us into the present moment of the world and the concern right here and right now that we're struggling with. And the devil's little job is to keep us worrying about all the other things that we can't worry, that we can't affect. Because when we do commit thy will be done to the things that are right in our midst, the daily bread does show up. This was pointed out to me recently, and it was so stupidly simple that I felt insulted by it. But it actually is one of the most profound things I've heard in a long time. And it was simply this. Look at where Jesus meets the disciples. All of the disciples. Where does Jesus meet all of the disciples? He meets them in their daily lives. Peter and Andrew, what are they doing? They're fishing. What is Matthew doing? He's collecting taxes. Jesus meets every one of the disciples in the midst of their living of their lives, in the days of their lives. He doesn't meet them on the mountaintop. He doesn't meet them like, woo! He doesn't meet them at the baptism. He doesn't meet them at the transfiguration. They've already been met there. Now, there are special things that happen in those places, but those are special things. The first encounter with Jesus is always in the course of their daily living. Why then are we so hard-headed sometimes? Okay, why am I so hard-headed sometimes to kind of think I have to go on an experience or get quiet in my life or do all these things or do the hokey pokey the right way or even commit myself to more worship or something like that, that actually where Jesus is going to find me is right in the middle of my troubles, right in the middle of the place that I'm hoping, right in the middle of the place where my patience is being tested, right in the middle of the place where my dialogue with God is breaking down and the invitation to stay in constant prayer is there. That's where Jesus meets us, which is, I think, what makes Paul's invitation to us so powerful. This dozen little words that we're called to in every moment. That can be, I think they're just a beautiful compass point to keep us pointed in the right directions every moment. Rejoice in hope, be patient in trouble, and be constant in prayer. The whole thing, to take another quote from Lewis, is built on our faith and our knowing. Both our faith in the sense of what we've been promised and what we've come to know, but also our knowing in what we've experienced in the course of our lives. That when we are in that place of committing our anxieties, committing our present, and not our future anxieties, not our past anxieties, not this, but our wonders about what's to happen right now and right here in this day, and that is when the bread of heaven shows up. And it's in that is the promise that there are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind. There are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind. I know we're having a little C.S. Lewis day today, but that's okay. Because, friends, my hope for you are those better things. Those joyous things that will buoy your heart and lift it up in hope when you're contending with the troubles of the world. The place that will give you the patience because of the promise of the far, far better things that are to come. And that you might have the foretaste of them today as we stay in constant prayer, that we stay in constant dialogue, where we just keep talking it out with the one who calls us home. It's my hope for you. It's my prayer for you that none of it means we will have easy lives. None of it means that we will not endure terrible things and hard things. But it does mean we are built for them. And that we will be strengthened in them, in the daily bread and in the promises of that far, far better things that are to come. All right, friends, it's my hope for you today. Good morning, Cheryl. I'm glad you're here. Robin, I'm so glad you're here. You warm my heart. Donna, we're going to keep praying for Phyllis. I'm glad that there's some movement and some hope in it. Karen, so good to see you. All right. Blessings all and blessings, friends. I hope on this day that you find yourself rejoicing in hope, patient in trouble, and constant in prayer. Peace and grace. We'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.